Hello, friends, and welcome to Figure Study, where we appreciate the dread form in Dreadformers. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Power of the Primes Dreadwind, mostly because Dreadwind is going to be my new de facto size comparison guy, and I figure I should probably get looking at him out of the way. Also, it is Memorial Day weekend. I'm running on 3 hours of sleep and already worked an overtime shift once this week. So I'm tired and I wanted to cover something simple. And so, Dreadwind. And yes, I know, Dreadwind is a repaint and fairly substantial remold of the Aerial Bot mold from Combiner Wars. But you know what? That's okay, because as much as I liked Superion, and Superion, very awesome, I just wasn't really into any of the individual Aerial Bots as standalone figures. However, Dreadwind here is a pretty darn solid standalone figure. And we'll get more into that when we get to the robot mode. But for now, jet mode. This thing is garish and I kind of love it. I don't know, maybe it's because I've been watching a lot of Thu's videos, but I'm just super charmed by how ridiculous this color scheme is. The gray and the very bright turquoise and the very deep, rich purple. It's such a weird color combination, but kind of really dig it. I know a lot of what's going on with Dreadwind here is meant to homage his G1 figure, but I don't have the G1 figure. I have no past with the G1 figure, and so I've got nothing. I'm going off of what I can remember loosely from videos that I've seen in the past. So with that in mind, I'm probably going to say some stuff with regards to Dreadwind's deco that is just wrong, or will sound stupid to someone who actually knows this stuff. And I apologize for that, but like I said, I don't have any connection to this figure whatsoever. So this is Dreadwind to me. I have no G1 reference. That said, as I was saying, I think the colors are actually really cool. They're super ridiculous and very, I guess, 80s pushing 90s, but I do really dig it. The only thing that kind of disappoints me with Dreadwind's jet mode is the placement of the color. And I know, I'm sure a lot of this has to do with G1 references, but like I said, I'm not going to keep repeating myself in that regard. But yeah, it's like the blue on the wings looks great, but it's just the wings, and then it just kind of cuts off. But then you've got the same color blue for the cockpit, which is kind of weird, because why would the wings be the same color as the cockpit? I do like the splash of red here, and those actually have a reason to be there, sort of, because those are kind of like intakes, even though these are also kind of like intakes. And then the gray, I'm not against the gray, but like, again, it works great for the tip of the nose, but then there's just this block back here. And yes, G1 reference, I know, but I'm just saying, like, there's just, it's weird how the colors just kind of stop in certain places. And the same goes for the rear tail fins that are in purple there. I mean, like I said, I do think these colors, despite the fact that they shouldn't go together, I do think they work together pretty well. And they're fun, which I think is important for a toy. But the way that they're broken up, I think, I don't know, I feel like they could have been brought in a little bit better. Like maybe have a little bit of this turquoise come in around here a little bit more. Have some of this gray maybe up in here, just so that it's not like segmented as much as it is. With regards to the molding, it's a Combiner Wars / Power of the Primes figure, so it's actually got quite a fair bit of very nice molded detail that's just kind of sprinkled throughout there. And it does look good. The interesting thing is the off-white. It's like a very light gray, really, that's going on here. It's like it shows the detail in certain light, and then in other light it's a little too bright and it kind of washes out the details, which is a shame. And then the gray, in some light it's too dark to see a lot of the detail, in other light it's fine. It's weird. It's like the tones of the different colors that they use here kind of hide a lot of that molded detail, which is kind of a shame. But then again, I guess if it is meant to be a G1 homage, they didn't do a ton of intricate molded detail back then, so I guess fine. And also it's It's an aerial bot, so of course you get that. Though I do like that they molded these little missiles on the undersides of the wings. That's pretty cool. And the fact that when you're looking at them from the top, you can actually see the tips of those missiles pointing out. Pretty cool. And one other little detail here. I do think it's kind of strange that they painted silver on the tail fins here, because that's a pretty solid paint job in the back there. It's nice and all, but like the way those tail fins are angled, you never see that paint. And when he's in robot mode, these are flipped up, so you never see that paint. So it seems like kind of a wasted effort. Again, might be a G1 reference, I don't know. But like, it looks nice, it's just in a place where I feel like people aren't likely going to notice it. Though I will say, the detailing on the wings is nice, like that nice silver lines going through there and big old Decepticon symbols. So yeah, the jet mode I think the colors are nice, the detail is nice. But anyway, since I'm doing a video on my de facto size comparison figure, I've got to bring in some other Power of the Primes figures for size comparisons. So here we've got Dreadwind with Orion Pax, or I guess technically Optimus Prime, because he's not transformed yet, so this is just his truck. I don't know how you want to qualify it. But here's him, and you can see they're kind of the same size-ish, although there is a little bit more bulk to Prime/Orion Pax there, which is going to show in robot mode because he's fairly tall for a deluxe. And then for a more typical size comparison, here we've got Dreadwind with Swoop, and I guess maybe Swoop isn't the best one-to-one comparison choice, but hang on a minute, let me fix that. There, that kind of works, right? Kinda? That's vaguely plane-shaped. I think that's a bit more of a direct similarity in terms of size, I guess. Don't judge me. But I think that's enough of that, don't you? So let's say we get Dreadwind here into his robot mode. And now it is going to seem a little familiar to anyone who's familiar with the aerial bots. There are some differences here and there. Then again, this guy's been out for a while, so you've probably all seen a bunch of videos on him and know how the transformation goes anyway. But regardless, let's just get to it. And here we have Dreadwind in his robot mode, and I really, really like this robot mode. And I probably shouldn't be this enamored with it because, like I said, it's just a retooled aerial bot, but it just works so well here. And again, I have no affiliation or prior knowledge of the character other than seeing a couple of videos where people did G1 comparisons. But this looks really good. And yes, I know you've got options for these wings here, fold them back, fold them forward. I prefer to fold them forward because it's just an interesting place for the wings to go that I don't normally see on Transformers figures that often. So that's kind of where I prefer to put him because it makes his boots look a little bit beefier, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, he just looks so good. And it's all the same color scheme too. You don't get as much of that dark gray here, but you do get it on the hands and the feet. And you get a little bit of that nose cone up top there. Which, by the way, I love the fact that they bothered to paint his fists, which we'll see in greater detail in a minute. Not something I'm used to seeing in, well, most figures that I've gotten in the past, like 3 or 4 years. That's pretty darn cool. Anyway, yes, the color scheme. It's all still here. You still got that nice deep purple, that weirdly bright turquoise, the grayish off-white, and the dark gray, with now a little bit of silver here and there, too. Well, I guess there was a little bit of silver in the vehicle mode as well. But it all looks really good on him. It's broken up quite nicely, where you've got the dark gray, purple, and silver in the legs from like the knee to the foot. And then the thighs and pelvis area are all kind of that grayish color. But then it's broken up by more turquoise and silver. Slug and Sludge, take note. The chest is broken up with some more color, with like a little bit of silver there, a little bit of red on the sides there. Then he's got the turquoise shoulders, gray arms, nice deep purple forearms with the gray for the fists. It's a really nice distribution of his color scheme. I like that any parts on him that are just one solid color aren't entirely one solid color, with the exception of his, like, below his waist right here, but that's like probably the least important part of a Transformers toy. So, like, that doesn't bother me at all. But I just love how they broke up the color in the chest and the arms and everything. And a lot of it didn't even involve paint. Like, there's some here and here and here and here, of course. But, like, the arms, the only paint on the arms is just, like, right here. But that goes so far to breaking up that color. And again, they painted his fists. That's just neat. I really wish that that happened more often. And it's also cool how it works with this forearm design here, because it almost makes it look like he's wearing fingerless gloves or something like that. I mean, I know he's not, but just the way that that gray kind of comes out of the purple looks really cool. Of course, being a Combiner Wars / Power of the Primes figure, plenty of nice detail. And I like the detail on these legs too. I don't have the aerial bots anymore to do a direct comparison, but just the feet and the shins here, it's a really nice robotic design. Like that little mechanical detail on the inside there, it's pretty darn cool. And then the torso, of course, lots of nice molded detail, but painted with like these little bits of silver there too. And I like how they did these because like you've got the screws here and then the pins here. So why not paint silver here? So that way when you're looking at him, yeah, he's got screws and pins and stuff everywhere, but like now it kind of makes it look like a design decision rather than a mechanical one. Anyway, lots of nice detail in there. That Decepticon logo, nice molding for the forearms. And again, a lot of these designs and shapes may be from aerial bots. I just don't know because I don't remember. And I no longer have aerial bots to compare them to, like I said. The combiner port thing is a little bit... I'm kind of lukewarm to it because I'm never going to use the Prime armor because that gimmick is dumb. But I guess I appreciate them giving you the option, and I do think it's cool how they actually bothered to mold some detail on the inside here. You know, at least they thought of it. And the head, again, no familiarity with Dreadwind whatsoever, but that's a pretty cool head. The actual shape of it, I don't think is necessarily all that unique. Though it is kind of interesting how you've got what looks like a more generic mouthless robot face with like someone put a little hat on top of him with like little eye holes in it, just with the way the color's distributed. But it is a good looking head sculpt. It's just semi-generic looking, I guess, but I'm pretty sure this is, you know, again, G1 homage. But that yellow, that is a nice shade of yellow. It really pops with that dark purple. And the white, too. And, yeah, it's like the only spot, really, where the white shows up. Everything else is like this dark, off-white, kind of gray color. But I've said this before, like, when you introduce new colors on the head, it doesn't really bother me that much. Because it's the head, you know? I feel like you can get away with it. But, yeah, he is pretty darn cool in terms of overall design, shape, molding, paint scheme. And actually, forgot to mention this, his silhouette is one of the reasons why I really like him. I mean, I think the head is cool. I think the colors work really well together despite being overtly garish. But his silhouette is really cool too. He's got these like really nice chunky legs and beefy arms and a nice, not necessarily beefy chest, but like it kind of goes with everything else. It's cool. And he looks pretty intimidating just standing there, which I think is saying a lot for a combiner limb. Anyway, yeah, Dreadwind looks cool. Now let's talk about size comparisons. So here he is with Orion Pax, and my goodness, Orion Pax almost looks like a Voyager standing next to him. Either he's a very tall deluxe or he's a very short deluxe. I'm pretty sure it's him that's the odd bot out, so to speak. I still think that's a fantastic looking robot mode, though. And that's a bit more normal. And interestingly enough, Swoop is actually a tiny bit shorter than Dreadwind. Just a tiny bit. But he is a little bit shorter. So yeah, I think Dreadwind's going to make a pretty decent default size comparison guy. And I do believe that is going to do it for Dreadwind. Like I said, surprisingly cool figure. He just really rocks that color scheme and silhouette. It's really nice. He's a very cool deluxe, and I think it's weird how he is a combiner limb, but he is a combiner limb that I would consider a perfectly good standalone figure, which is just strange to me. Though to be fair, there are a couple of figures for Power of the Primes that can be used to make Abominus that I think might end up being decent standalone figures as well. I'm kind of tempted by Ripper Snapper, even though I think Hunger is not all that great. Who knows, maybe I'll end up with a few miscellaneous limb bots I don't know, some of the individuals are just really solid all on their own. But anyway, that's enough about what I think of Dreadwind. What do you think of Dreadwind? Does anyone out there have him and is as surprisingly enamored with him as I am, or is as surprised to be enamored with him as I am? Any G1 purists out there like the way this guy homages the original? Or do you not like the way he homages the original? Because, I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of liberties that have been taken with this. And, most importantly, you do the wings forward or back? Whatever your thoughts, please feel free to comment down below. I do always enjoy hearing from you all, and while you're at it, also feel free to like or subscribe. Any combination of those three things would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.